So I've been seeing a lot of discourse online about a particular topic that I am very much interested in, and that is the top four superheroes of all time.
And here we go.
What's up, everybody? Don't remind me, okay? Yes, I'm back. That's all that matters. It's your friendly neighborhood YouTuber. I'm here today to talk about the top four superheroes of all time. And I'm just gonna run through basically because I didn't feel like I needed to make a video like this, but honestly, it's been a minute and this seems like a good video to come back to the channel to and sort of like yap a little bit. So let's get into the top four. Let's start straight off with the obvious ones. Everybody, I mean, there's no disputing these. Everybody has them in their top four. If you don't have them in your top four, you're objectively just wrong. The first one being obviously Batman. So Batman obviously is in the top four. I mean, I don't think I need to explain why. I don't think I need to go into detail as to why he would even be considered a top four superhero of all time. I mean, he literally right now is the face of DC. If you don't agree, then you can go check his numbers and the sales that he does because they are absurd. If you ever want to come out with a title or a run or a comic book line to get people back into the comic book shops and just in droves buy comic books, Batman is the one to do it for you. Okay, that is the guy right there. I mean, if you look at his filmography as well, only the most talented directors are gravitated like moths to a flame to the character for film. You look at Tim Burton, you look at Christopher Nolan, you look at most recently Matt Reeves. Only the top echelon want to work on stories for this character, and that's for good reason because he just is the GOAT. Okay, so it's obvious Batman is in the top four. Okay, number two, you could either flip or flop between one of these characters, but for me, number two, personally, I just have a bias, would be Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man transcended the genre. I think Spider-Man transcended the medium, and I think Spider-Man is one of the Marvel characters that when you look at him, you necessarily don't necessarily see Marvel, but you know that he is the face of Marvel Comics. There's nobody else that comes close to Spider-Man in terms of comic books for Marvel. The only one that might rival him, maybe I could see is Wolverine and the X-Men, maybe. And then obviously the Hulk is also there. That might be the top three of Marvel. But in terms of superheroes overall, in terms of the superhero and comic book genre of I'm talking all time, okay? I'm talking about since the inception. The only one that transcended the Marvel logo was Spider-Man. And these characters are in the top four because of that, because of iconography, because of influence, and because of what tent poles in the history of comic books. Okay, Batman, I don't think I need to explain. He is the tent pole into the history of DC Comics and just in general comic books overall, and setting a trend for many different things in the comic book genre. A lot of things followed suit after Batman did it. And in the case of Spider-Man, I mean, the kid is just, I mean, I don't know if he's not eternally a kid, but the character of Spider-Man is just 100% an aversion to a general trope that you have. In the fact that he starts out as a kid, he's not a grown man going out and doing these things. He's a kid. He escaped the trope, and in doing so, created a new one. And he was a tentpole and a historical figure in just comic books in general. And so to have Spider-Man in the top four is obvious. It's just obvious. Now the third one is another obvious one. The fourth one is where we're gonna get into some debate here. But the third one, like I said, this one could have been flip-flopped with Spider-Man. But for me, it's Superman. It's obviously Superman. If you don't have Superman in your top four superheroes of all time, I don't even want to start a conversation with you. I am sorry. And some people, I wouldn't even argue with them if they had Superman in their number one spot. I would not argue against this. Any of these characters in the top four for me, like, they're in the top four for a reason. And if somebody has one over the other, I'm not gonna sit here and argue. As long as the top four are unanimously the same, then you know what I'm saying, we can have a conversation. But if you're gonna put a random character in there because you know what I mean, recency bias or whatever, okay, then I don't know if I'm gonna take you that seriously. But if, like I said, if you don't have the creme de la creme, the Superman in your top four, I don't know what you're doing, buddy. I don't know what's going through your mind, because that's the obvious pick. Superman is literally the quintessential superhero that inspired so many other superheroes to come. I mean, literally considered the first superhero of all time, the most influential superhero of all time, the most powerful superhero of all time. You can go down the list. That's Clark Kent. That's your boy Kal-El. That's Superman right there, okay? So not having him in the top four would be a crime. But those are the three obvious ones. Obviously, you're going to go with Superman. Obviously, you're going to go with Batman, because those two are just the quintessential night and day superheroes that, like, just across the medium inspired so much, and like are just icons, man. If you see the Batman logo, you know what it is. If you see the Superman logo, you know what it is. If you see the Spider-Man logo, you know that's Spider-Man. Okay, the iconography there for those characters is undeniable, and they are the goats, and they deserve to be in the top three. Now, the only reason why I'm putting this character in the top four, I could easily put this character in the top three, okay, because I love this character so much. And before I say who it is, because it might be obvious to a lot of people, before I say who it is, because this is the objective. Like I said, the only reason why I came here to yap is because I want to just bring some objective truth. I think there's a lot of people that are bringing some facts into it, and I think your debate topics are very. I mean, if anybody's open to debate this with me, comment down below. If you're a YouTuber, I'll make it happen, baby. Let's do some collaborations. But anyways, if I was a kid growing up, you know what I mean? The other superhero to me that would be in my top four, like if I was a kid, like if you ask kid me, you know, like not objectively, but like what I think my top, it would still be Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, but the fourth one, 100% would be the Hulk. Okay, when I was a kid, I don't know what it was about that green guy, but the Hulk for me, dog. Come on, man. Like if something, I don't know, if something had happened in the Marvel timeline and the Hulk had the impact that Spider-Man had, he would be in the top four. 100% would be. But because Spider-Man was so revolutionary for the genre and for comic books in general, and setting a new like tent pole for comic books, he has to be in the top four. For me, I want to put the Hulk in the top four. I really do. I really love the Hulk. I wish they could bring him more in action and more in the fray in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, as much as they try to. And I think Mark Ruffalo has given up on the idea of having any Hulk movie, standalone movie, which is so sad. But, you know, that's the thing, is the Paramount, or I don't know if it's Paramount or Universal. One of those, they have the rights. I think it's Universal, actually. It's Universal. They have the rights, the film rights to the Hulk, and they're just letting him be in the playground for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But when it comes down to like an individual movie, they won't release it unless it's them. And you know, I don't know what those right things are. I mean, they got Spider-Man in the MCU, so I'm confused as to why they couldn't do it with the Hulk. But that's neither here nor there. I love the Hulk. I would love to put him, but objectively, he cannot be in the top four. Objectively speaking, okay? If we're going to go timeline-wise, if we're going to go, like I said, iconography, influence, and tentpole for the comic book genre, because a lot of you guys need to understand, when we're talking about superheroes, we're talking about comic books. And manga now is making superheroes, so let me just get some of my some honorable mentions here that people put online. Bless your soul if you put this person on the top four. Okay, bless your soul. You probably are a lot younger than me. You're probably a teen that thinks that they're an adult, or maybe you are a young adult. But these characters don't need to be in the top four. All right, Izuku Midoriya, Saitama from One Punch Man, honorable mentions. You know what I mean? Like if you have them in your top four, I'm not gonna argue with you because I genuinely know where you stand in your fandom, and I'm not trying to do that. But objectively, you're wrong. Objectively, you're wrong. There's no way that Izuku Midoriya would be in the top four. There's no way that Saitama would be in the top four. Saitama wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Superman. Izuku Midoriya wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Spider-Man. These characters, that's the thing you guys need to understand is like we're talking about greatest of all time, which means of all time. Okay, of all time. That means you can't be afraid to go back a few centuries and see the inception of some of these characters and respect where these characters came from. Like I said, nobody denies Superman or Batman or Spider-Man in the top three. The reason why is because everybody respects what they've done. But I think this particular character that I'm finally going to talk about, okay, I know you guys have been dying to hear this. This character, for me, I don't understand why they have never been brought into conversation. Actually, I think I do. I think the only reason why this character is not brought into conversations in the top four as much as they probably used to. I think unanimously back in the day, probably they were 100% in the top four and there was no debate. But I think now because fandoms are so rabid, you know what I mean? Everybody wants to have their favorite character in the top four, but that's just not how it works. Objectively speaking, this character is still in the top four. I don't see any other character dethroning this character. I think now it's great to see more debate and more conversation about not having this character in the top four. I don't think it's a bad thing because I think that just means that fandoms are growing and that's cool. But objectively speaking, like I said, I think this character is not brought up into conversation enough. I think they need to be brought up into conversation more because of the relevance that they have that people don't want to talk about. People don't want to talk about this. Everybody's on recency bias. Everybody wants to put the Wolverine on there because he got a crazy treatment by Fox. But he's not bigger than this character. He's not bigger than this character. This character is literally in history books, okay? And the person who deserves to be in the top four is Wonder Woman. Okay. And if any of you guys got triggered for me saying that, if any of you guys got upset for me saying that, I think you need to pick up some history books or just go do some mild research and understand where this character came from. Okay. Because Wonder Woman, if it was not for Wonder Woman, now listen to this. I'm serious. I'm being dead. This is objectively all your favorite probably female heroes, okay, that you might put in the top four, none of them would exist without Wonder Woman. If Wonder Woman never stepped foot in a comic book, you know what I mean? Who else? Who else? This isn't even just a gender thing. This is just in general. Literally, her lasso of truth was put out as a concept that later became reality in the lie detector. In the lie detector. An actual thing that we use to this day is tied to the lasso of truth. Look it up. Go to your history books. Wonder Woman is stamped in the history books of our time. And to ignore that, heresy, bruh. And I'm gonna use this as propaganda to tell y'all to read Absolute Wonder Woman, because if we talk about like greatest of all time in terms of power, that Wonder Woman might be it, dog. She's so sick. So yeah, like I said, go read Absolute Wonder Woman. But I'm talking about iconography. Wonder Woman is iconic. And I'm tired of people not saying that she is. I don't get it, because literally there are giant groups of people that don't read and will not pick up a comic or have not picked up a comic book who know who she is. A lot of these characters you guys are trying to put in the top four, if these motherfuckers didn't know anything about the genre of superheroes, they wouldn't know these characters. But you know which character they would 100% quintessentially know? And maybe they'll know Wolverine, but I think more people will universally know Wonder Woman. 100 and 200, 1,000,000% they're going to know Wonder Woman before any other character that you're possibly going to try to list. 1,000,000%. I mean, my mom literally, like, when Gal Gadot came into the scene as Wonder Woman in the movies, she was like, "Oh, wait a second, that's Wonder Woman," and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." They brought Wonder Woman into. She was like, the fact that she goes, "Wait a second, that's Wonder Woman." You know, she didn't care about Superman. She didn't care about Batman. And then she told me a really, really neat story about how, like, every little girl in her town when she was young, like, they didn't pick up comic books, but every little girl wanted to be a superhero. So who did they pretend to be? They pretended to be Wonder Woman. Bruh, that is influential, iconic. You can't beat that. That's generational. That's like multi-generational, not even just like that's multi-generational. That's how popular Wonder Woman is. And I'm talking comic books. I'm talking comic books too, because a lot of y'all seem to forget, you know what I mean? All these superheroes, there's a trope. And Wonder Woman is one of those that created a whole trend. I mean, look at pop culture too. A lot of people don't want to go back, but if you look at pop culture too, a lot of like the way that things were put out in media back in the day, Wonder Woman was inspiring a lot of that. There was something in the movement of whatever Wonder Woman was wearing that people gravitated towards. Now, maybe somewhere along the line that sort of died down, because I just feel like after the Linda Carter craze with Wonder Woman, there wasn't really, I mean, I feel like they didn't know what to do. They kept her in the comics for some weird reason. But if she had more movies, if she had more TV shows, then y'all would put respect on her name. But if we're talking objectively, bro, dog, nah, it's got to be Wonder Woman. And there's no doubt, there's no question. There's no question. But anyways, I'm going to end it there. I think I've yapped enough. You guys let me know down in the comment section below what you think is your top 4. If you agree or if you disagree. Like I said, you are more than allowed to disagree with what I think 100%. Okay? But objectively, you have to come to reality. You have to come to the truth. Objectively, Wonder Woman is in the top 4. There's no debate. Okay? When they bring her back in the DC movies, I mean, bro, we're not even going to try to act like her movie wasn't a banger either. Okay? But anyways, I'm just... Anyways, go read Absolute Wonder Woman, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.